Mike Young here from BeyondYourWeddingDay.com, and I often have people tell me that they can't do a budget because they have an irregular income. In other words, maybe they're self-employed, work on commission mostly, things to where they don't get a regular paycheck. And that often kind of confuses people, makes them think that they cannot do a budget. And maybe even for some people it could just be an excuse not to do a budget. But either way, that's just not the case. You definitely can do a budget with an irregular income. It is just a little bit different process than if you were to do one with a regular steady paycheck. So I'd like to spend a couple minutes here and show you exactly how to do that. The first thing is just to go ahead and do your regular budget like you were if you had a regular income. In other words, figure out what all your expenses are, and that could even be savings goals in that thing. But basically, if you had the ideal month, what would you allocate all the money to? Okay, and in fact, if you want an example on how to do that, if you want kind of maybe a worksheet to help you work through that, you can go to MikeYoungCoach.com/resources, and I have a just simple quick budget on there to help you guide through that. Again, that's MikeYoungCoach.com/resources, and you can download that budget and kind of get your month laid out. Now, once you've done that, then that's kind of where it changes for you that have an irregular income. You need to kind of list all those expenses out and then prioritize them based on which ones are the most important. So what you kind of take a look at is, okay, if we could only had enough money to pay one thing, what would that be? And then once that one's paid, you'd say, okay, if we had enough money to pay one other thing, what would that be? And you kind of work your way down the list and just kind of number each item. So I can show you here, for example, I have this sheet here that's a list of different expenses that you might have in any given month. And so again, you just kind of go along and say, okay, if I had to pay one thing, what would it be? So maybe, the first thing that you want to make sure you take care of is charitable giving. So you just put a number 1 by that. Okay, and then maybe the second thing would be groceries. Okay, you need to definitely eat. So that could be number 2. So then if we had to pay just one more thing, if we need to allocate our money towards one more thing, what would that be? And then maybe it's electricity. And you go on and on down the list until you have them all numbered, in order. Okay? So now you kind of have a prioritized list. And then all you do is just take a blank sheet of paper, and what you do is, so you write the first one first, so that would be giving. And then you write off to the side $300. Okay. Now I want you to put a line next to it, a slash, and then $300 again. This is going to be our running total line. Okay, so we'll see how that works in a second here as we move along. So let's say the next one is groceries. Okay, that was our number 2 item. So that's $280. Then we put our slash, and what we do then is we take this, the 300 plus the 280, and that's going to give us a running total. So that's $580. Then our third one was electricity. Okay, and that was $150. And so then we add the 580 from this column to the 150, and that gives us 730. And again, you do that on and on down the list until you get to the very end. That way, if you get a paycheck that comes in for, let's say, maybe $600, then you just look down your running total. You can see, okay, 600 hits between groceries and electricity. So I know I'll be able to take care of my giving and groceries with that check. And I can kind of make a line there, and then as my next check comes, you can kind of reorder that and work down the list that way. And so that way you have a nice prioritized spending list, and you know as the money comes in exactly where to allocate it. Now hopefully, again, that's helpful for you. If you do have an irregular income, you no longer have an excuse to not do a budget. Again, it's a little bit different than doing a budget for other people, but it's still very, very possible and very doable. And again, if you need help with that, if you need some other budgeting items, budgeting things to help you get started, go to MikeYoungCoach.com/resources, and that will help you out. And as always, you can go to beyondyourweddingday.com and see what's all there too. Again, I'm Mike Young, and go check it out.